That, or they get all this, they get a notice in the mail that says, thank you, your card is on the way. You're like, I ain't ordered no card. Where'd that come from? Women are 26% more likely to be victims of identity theft. You want to know why? Because we steady going on with our daily work and doing whatever. We're not part of, we don't used to do a whole lot of online banking. We got our whole life ahead of us, and we ain't worried about it. Men usually sign up in the very beginning for those, oh, I'm going to get this credit card protection, or I'm going to get this fee, and that's when they get caught. Women like, I ain't paying that $5
Right.
for that credit card protection. I'll watch my own.
Yeah.
You know, that's how we do. It took 83 days for women to detect it, 45 for men. So they on the ball because they sign up front for all that stuff. You can spend like 300 to 500 or 5,840 hours repairing credit. That means you talk about several months and months of time that you got to figure out how to get them people from taking your identity and how to get it back from them. Victims spend 4 to 6 months. Some of them spend over a year. Man, the problem with it is there's so many regulations to keep people from having back, or for updating and giving information off, that you end up having to pay for it. That's the problem. There's so much regulation with it, and it just becomes a hassle. It costs some people $15,000, but the average person loses productivity and wages, where it could be that $500 you got to spend on certified mail because you're going to have to send it to somebody. Because you got to send everything certified. You got to do police reports, so you done took time off your job to go into the police station during business hours. Because you know they ain't open after hours to do anything like this. Oh, ma'am, you got to come back at about from between 8 and 4 when Sally is here at the front desk to give you this paperwork. Because that's what it requires. It's all paperwork, and it's a hassle. And that's how much you'll end up spending for that. Anybody can get identity theft. Tiger Woods got hit by this dude who used his name, Eldred Woods. That's what he used. And he was getting credit cards, only because he just used his name. He didn't look like him. He just said he was him and opened up credit cards and was using $60,000 in debt. Will Smith had somebody using his Willard C. Smith and had opened up a whole bunch of credit cards in his name, $60,000 easy. For them, I mean, what does that matter? But anybody can be hit. Ben Bernanke, he was the chairman of the Federal Reserve Board. He running the money, and they stole his identity. So it ain't just anybody can be hit like that. 8 years old. How you know they ain't sell it to somebody down the street for that same $1,000? That's how people get caught up.
Yeah, that's true.
That they getting caught up because it's 3 people claiming that baby,
Right.
And now you got an audit.
Yep.
Who really got the baby? You know what I'm saying? Who really claiming this baby? Unless you in a custody thing where the mama claiming 1 year and the daddy claiming another year, or you taking care of that child, that tax credit don't mean that much when you got to pay all that back when you done already spent it. These people be getting $5,000 and $6,000 for their kids. It's a lot. You can't just do that. You can't do that. That's not how it works. The other is the one that I wanted to talk about: friendly fraud. Your roommate, you love your roommate. She's so sweet. Y'all been living together for 2 years, and next thing you know, you realize, she's got all this great, nice coat. She got that nice new bag. And you're like, oh, girl, where you get that? Girl, I was down on the plaza. Girl, it was on sale. Next thing you know, you start pulling up your credit. You're like, what the world? You ain't bought nothing at Halls, and you ain't bought nothing over here at Dillard's and Macy's and Nordstrom's. Your girlfriend you've been living with for 2 years and stole your stuff. She done got in there and this right here is what get people in the most trouble, because you trust somebody. You let them use your laptop. You provide them with too much access to your information.
I'm going to break it down today where specifically what is the definition of credit. Credit basically is, trustworthiness based on a borrower. Whether or not, if I give you some money, I am going to entrust that you're going to repay me back this month, right? That is the definition of credit. But the content or the way we use credit, that's how we make it mean differently, okay? So we want to talk about credit. When's the last time you actually saw your credit report? Anybody?
January.
Have you ever saw your credit report? Okay. Do you see your credit report on a regular basis?
No.
Okay. Let me explain something to you about credit. You heard of the word identity theft. Of course, You have a speaker here that's going to be talking about identity theft. Guess what? You are your best theft-proof device. Now, I'm not going to get into that presentation, but it's so important that you pull your credit report on an annual basis. And if you're a victim of identity theft, it should be more often. And again, I'm not going to step into her presentation, but we have access to free reports now, so pull them. 40% of the credit reports have wrong information on it. And sometimes we don't review our reports because why? We just don't want to see it. Or we think it's bad or something that's going on out there, but it may not be as bad as you may think it is. Or you want to make sure your creditors are reporting information on time too. Because sometimes they're missing months, and if they're missing months, that's not helping you build up your credit. So you want to make sure that they didn't do something that you are unaware of. And also, going back to identity theft, if there's something on there that's on your report that shouldn't be, you want to know how to get rid of it as soon as possible. So that's why it's important to start pulling your credit on an annual basis. What is good credit? Anybody? What's good credit? 725, okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. Anybody else? What's good credit?
No delinquencies.
No delinquencies. What else?
No judgments. Yeah, no judgments.
Okay. Okay.
Being able to borrow money at the lowest rate.
Exactly, getting a nice interest rate. Paying your debts on time, right? That consistency. What are lenders looking at? They're looking at what happened in the last 12 to 18 months. Okay? On your credit report, it shows what? 2 years worth of history on there. Although that's important, but what they're looking for is really that 12 months. They want to see what you have been doing in that 12-month period of time, especially if you come in, like purchasing a home or a car loan or something like that. Before you even make large purchases, you should always pull your report at least 3 months prior. Because if there's something out there and you just, you don't want to go in and apply for something and you think that everything's cool, and then they come to you and say, we can't do this because X, Y, and Z. Well, you should always pull your report 3 months prior to a big ticket item, only because that will give you enough time to clear any errors that's on there, so when you are in the position to go to a creditor, even if the report isn't updated, and we will talk about how to update your report, even if the report isn't updated, you have proof. You go in, you apply for something, here's my proof that this is taken care of, okay? And the loan can proceed. So a lender is looking for 12 months of good performance without any missed payments. And they're looking at current debt that has been paid for. Now, this has changed. Sometimes you will hear people say, you need to take care of all your delinquent debt. That's true and it's not true. And I say it's not true because, again, like I said, they're looking at, what happened currently. So if you have any recent debt, delinquent debt, and I mean like collections, anything from, let's see, towards the very end of 2009 to current, those may consider current delinquent debt. You need to resolve those issues before any other debt. Okay? So they're going to look to see if those things are paid for. When it comes, and please ask me any questions as